Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Just talked a little bit about Clemson football, if they can stay, compete in this new era. I think they can. I'm excited to see them this upcoming year. They have a really great quarterback in Cade Klubnik. We're going to keep on that quarterback kind of train. And we're going to talk a little bit about Big Ten quarterbacks, finish off my list with the top 4 guys in the league, in my opinion. At 4, I think it's got to be Nico. Nico Yamaleva transferred from Tennessee, now at UCLA. Huge storyline throughout the spring. This was super unexpected. I don't know if anybody kind of saw Nico not suiting up for the Tennessee Volunteers in 2025, but that's going to be the case. That's the reality now. And this is a guy that is a really solid starting quarterback in his own right. Dude that led Tennessee last year to a 10-3 record, college football playoff appearance, had decent stats last year. Finished with 2,900 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The big question mark, how will he adjust to Big Ten play under head coach Deshaun Foster? Will he kind of be able to transition from the SEC to the Big Ten? Yes, they're very comparable leagues in terms of the talent across the board, but there's a lot of different play styles when you look at the SEC compared to the Big Ten, and that offense that he's going to be running. Tennessee's offense is very much different. They kind of run that veer-style offense, super spread wide. That's not going to be what he's going to run at UCLA. It's going to be a much more of a pro-style offense, and it's going to be interesting to kind of see where he actually ends up here. So he did have solid stats last year, but if you really look at it, it was kind of interesting where the split was. 13 of those 19 touchdowns came against North Carolina State, Kent State, Mississippi State, and UTEP. Then, if you look at the 5 or 6 games, against Oklahoma, Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, Kentucky, Georgia, so they're tougher SEC matchups in the conference. In those 6 games, he had 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So, big production against lower caliber programs, but when the lights were brightest, this was a guy that really struggled against top-tier opponents. Can he kind of take that next step as a quarterback? Can he be more comfortable in this season at UCLA? It's going to be interesting. He's not going to have as many weapons around him. It's going to be a lot more on Nico to kind of showcase his talents. And this is a kid that, mind you, he was a 5-star quarterback. He's got all the talent in the world in terms of raw tools, potential, 6'6", cannon for an arm, smart quarterback, a guy that really has high potential. Can he kind of put it all together this year, running a different offense, having different weapons around him? It's going to be huge, and I think we're really going to kind of see Nico's potential and his ability as a quarterback this year when there's a lot more pressure on him to produce at UCLA, especially after this whole transfer saga that kind of happened throughout the spring that we saw play out. So right now I have him at 4. That's very fluid, though. I think he could either be really up there, or he might completely slide down this list of Big Ten rankings. But then at 3, you have Indiana starting quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Kind of talked about him a little bit earlier on in the show. This is a kid I love. I think he's a gamer, a guy that's just going to win football games, a guy that his stats may not look awesome, but when you watch him and the plays that he makes on the field, the positions that he puts his team in to try to win football games, this is a really good quarterback. And I think he's going to do better this year, honestly, at Indiana. Coming in from Cal, he's going to have more weapons around him. He's got a really great wide receiver room, especially with Elijah Surratt coming back. That kid's awesome. And then you have a solid O-line in front of him. They did bring in transfers there, but should be protected better than he was at Cal. And a guy that in Cal's last 4 games, averaged 318 yards passing with 8 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in those 3 games, or last 4 games. So a guy that really ended the season on a high note. And then he just had some big-time moments. That Miami game, yeah, they should have won it. I mean, they did lose it at the end, but his performance there against that Miami defense was really great to see. And then also led that comeback win against Stanford in the rivalry game, where they came back right at the end of the game, last couple minutes left. He led a drive down the field to put them in position to win that football game. I'm excited to see what he could do. Oh yeah, he also went into Auburn, went on the Plains last year, beat Auburn at their own home. That's a huge win. This is a guy that I don't think he's afraid of the big moments. I think he kind of thrives on them. I'm excited to see what he can do at a more high-profile program at this time in Indiana compared to Cal, where this is a team that could potentially compete for a college football playoff berth. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to have a really great season, and I'm kind of excited to see what he can do there. Then at 2 is the other quarterback from the other team I talked about earlier, Luke Altmyer. Now this kid, honestly, I was a little surprised of how he's kind of turned out as a quarterback, a guy that was in competition with Jackson Dart when Dart transferred in to Ole Miss from USC. They were both in competition for that starting role. Obviously, Jackson Dart ends up winning out, and Luke Altmyer ends up transferring out to Illinois. But this is a guy that led Illinois to 10 wins last year, was second among returning Big Ten quarterbacks in terms of touchdown passes last season, a guy that's now going to be a 3-year starter, and had only 6 interceptions in 2024. He is going to be a huge reason, and he is already a huge reason of why Illinois is kind of being considered as a potential college football playoff contender, is because of Luke Altmyer. It's because of his play on the field, because of his caliber of leadership, the type of talent that he brings to the Illinois football team. He's going to have chances to prove it this year. Going to play at Indiana, going to have Ohio State at home. And I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch. Illinois, if they do make the college football playoff, a big part of it is going to be Luke Altmyer and his play on the field and kind of what he can do. But there's stability here in the room, a guy that's super experienced, a guy that's comfortable at Illinois in that scheme, and a dude that is really going to take the next step as a starting quarterback. I think he's going to be even better this upcoming season just because of returning, having that experience, having that comfort level of that continuity. Those are all huge things for Luke Altmyer and for the Illinois Fighting Illini. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. I think he's the second best quarterback in the Big Ten, and I think he's a little underrated across national media just in terms of the recognition that he gets or that he does not get. But then, the number 1 quarterback, this is an easy one. It's got to be Drew Allar from Penn State. Again, a dude that will be stepping into another year as a full-time starter. Was really big win for Penn State that he decided to return. I think he could have been a first-round quarterback this year, just in this draft class. A guy that stepped up last season. He kind of showcased more of his passing talent, but a dude that over the past 2 seasons has had 49 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions. He did, however, have 7 games of less than 200 yards. Part of that, I think, is just the offense that Penn State runs, relying heavily on the running game. But he's going to have to be more consistent in terms of game-to-game kind of statistics, how his performance throughout the season. He got better at it last year. He's going to need to be even stronger on that this year, especially with Tyler Warren being gone. But you have Trevor Pena, you have Kyron Hudson, you have Devontae Ross coming in at wide receiver. You still have Singleton and Allen. This is a guy that's probably the most talented quarterback in the Big Ten, probably has the highest upside in terms of quarterbacks in the Big Ten, and a guy that has already kind of proven that he can do it. He does need to get better in clutch moments. Had a chance to beat Ohio State this year. They couldn't do it. He did throw a crucial interception in the semifinal against Notre Dame that really sealed that game. when Penn State had a chance to win, but in terms of talent, 6'5", 235, cannon of an arm, smart quarterback, humble, all the physical tools, all the intangibles that you want out of a starting quarterback. I think Drew Allar is going to have an even better year this year. I'm excited to see if he can progress even further in terms of his development, in terms of gaining more confidence to kind of make those big-time throws, big-time decisions. We're going to have to kind of see how that plays out. There's going to be more reliance on Drew Allar's arm, though, this year, especially because they lose such a huge weapon in Tyler Warren, a guy that was able to clean up any kind of mistakes that Allar made. He's not going to have that safety option this year. So it's going to be on him to produce at that position. I think he can do it. I think he can rise to the occasion, but cutting down on those kind of critical mistakes, showing up at the end of games, that's what Drew Allar has to show this year for Penn State, for their Big Ten chances, for their potential national championship aspirations. Drew Allar has to improve in those key moments. So with that, we are going to end our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC College Football Podcast. Please remember to subscribe, like, follow the channel, and if you want, you can also go to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok for even more sports updates, more sports content that you love. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to